It's so surreal, but I'm kinda thankful that we got the bad Michael Bay Transformers movies when I was a kid. It gave me time to actually look into the good Transformers stuff, and to appreciate the movies we've gotten since a lot more, like this one. Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to give you my review of the animated Transformers prequel, Transformers 1. But before we get started, you know exactly what to do. I say it in every video. If you like this video at the end, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new reviews. Now let's get into it. Transformers 1 is a prequel that puts its own spin on the familiar Cybertron stories, telling the story of best friends destined to be enemies, Optimus Prime and Megatron, voiced here by Chris Hemsworth and Brian Tyree Henry. This time, however, we get to know them as lowly Energon miners, known by different names, like Optimus being known as Orion Pax, and Megatron being known as D13. But it's not long until they get sucked into an adventure with Elita 1, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, and B127, voiced by Keegan-Michael Key, that will help them unlock their potential as Transformers and change the course of Cybertron forever. People have been clamoring for a Transformers movie that takes place fully on Cybertron with no human characters for as long as I can remember, with the closest that we've ever gotten being the epic first 15 minutes of Bumblebee. Here, we sort of get that, but if you are a die-hard Transformers fan, you might be a little bothered by changes to the canon that are made here. Now, me, I'm a fan, but definitely not to that extent. I barely watched any of the original cartoons or anything like that. So I was able to look past that and appreciate this for what it was, which was actually pretty great. To start, I absolutely love this animation. When the first trailer was revealed, people kind of ripped into the animation, and I'll admit, it did take me a bit to get used to, but once I did, I found it to be a fantastic blend of the classic Transformers designs that we know with a modern twist. The animation also allows for a surprising amount of character emotion, which I wasn't expecting. The trailers made this movie look so silly, but they were hiding some pretty emotional and dark material beneath it. You can really see and feel the emotions on these robots' faces, especially during the intense and emotional moments, which gives the story so much more impact and puts it leagues above the ugly designs that we got in most of the Michael Bay movies. And speaking of impact, the action scenes in this movie are absolutely jaw-dropping. They've managed to capture that sense of power and scale that's inherent to the Transformers, while still making the battles fast-paced and dynamic and allowing a surprising amount of violence in a PG animated movie. Watching these massive robots go toe-to-toe in such a fluid, cinematic way is really great to watch, especially when you can understand what's actually happening on the screen, and the animation really just elevates the whole experience while showing off the potential of an animated Transformers movie. Now, as for the story, I was pleasantly surprised by how engaging it was. I've already mentioned how it goes to some pretty dark and emotional places, but it's also filled with enough twists and turns to where I was hooked throughout the entire movie, even knowing a lot of the canon and lore, and it was interesting to see how certain things were changed and remixed. However, out of all the stuff that I enjoyed in the story, I will say that I thought that D13's change from a lovable best friend to Orion Pax to the evil Megatron felt a bit rushed. You know from the beginning that Orion Pax and D13 are eventually going to turn on each other, but it feels like they were kind of in a rush to get there, and I wish they would have slowed down just to flesh out that journey just a little bit more. That being said, his descent into darkness is still pretty compelling, and you can really feel the weight of certain choices that D13 makes, even if some of them come out of nowhere. The voice cast here also did a really great job. Chris Hemsworth brings his whimsical energy to the character of Orion Pax, imbuing the character with a lot of hope and inspiration and an endearing quality that makes his eventual transformation into Optimus Prime all the more satisfying. And so many people were complaining about his voice, but by the end, when he actually does become Optimus Prime, he did a pretty convincing impression of Peter Cullen while putting his own twist on it, capturing that commanding, noble presence that we associate with Optimus Prime.
We stand here together as one.
Now, the standout here, however, is Brian Tyree Henry as D13. His voice performance is honestly just kick-ass. He has fun in the first half, but as the movie goes on and we see a lot of that rage bubbling to the surface, he brings so much emotion and intensity to his vocal performance. But even before we get to that point, the voices of Hemsworth and Tyree Henry really do a lot to add to the dynamic between Orion Pax and D13 as best friends, making it really feel like a believable friendship that ends up tragically torn apart, which makes that part of the story hit even harder. Now, Scarlett Johansson as Elita 1, she holds her own, but she definitely just sounds like herself and just feels like a celebrity voice added by the studio that the filmmakers didn't really know what to do with. It felt like her character was just there to be part of the team and fight in the action scenes so that there was a girl Transformer for the girls to look up to get them in the seats. There was a lot of potential there for that character, and they never really dug into it, which felt like a missed opportunity to me. I felt the same about Keegan-Michael Key's B127, which, if that name isn't familiar to you, he eventually becomes Bumblebee.
Hi there, I'm B127.
Key definitely just sounded like himself, and though he did have a few moments here and there that made me laugh, honestly the fact that they tried to flip the script on this character who's been silent throughout most of the movies we've seen him in, to the point where now he just never shuts the hell up, got a little annoying. It was like they were trying way too hard to make him comic relief.
I'm actually working on some nicknames. The one I'm floating right now is Badassatron, which is actually pronounced Badassatron.
This leads me to my only other real complaint in this movie. The humor is pretty hit or miss. Some of the jokes really land here, especially when you compare it to the dark places that this story can go, and that's definitely true in the first half with a lot of things involving Orion Pax and some visual gags that cracked me up. But plenty of other jokes either just fall flat or feel forced, especially when they try to make nearly every line out of B127 a one-liner.
Whoa! I got a battle mask! This guy, knife hands?
Overall though, I think this movie is a solid blend of nostalgia and new energy. It changes enough things and brings in enough fresh ideas to keep things interesting while still respecting the core of what makes Transformers great and beloved by so many. I genuinely hope more people see this movie because I cannot wait to see where they would take it next. Imagine the war and fall of Cybertron on the big screen. That's a trilogy I would line up to see, especially if they keep the darkness that was shown in glimpses here and maybe dial down the childish humor just a little bit. So in the end, while it has some flaws with a couple of the characters and some hit or miss humor, this is an exciting prequel that stands tall above even the best of the live action Transformers movies, with great animation, good characters with a very strong relationship between the two main characters, a pretty strong story with twists and turns, and a surprising amount of darkness and violence for an animated kids movie. Here's hoping we get that sequel. And that's my review of Transformers 1. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, you know exactly what to do. I said it earlier. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new reviews. While you're at it, you can scroll down in the description below, find the links to my socials, leave a comment, let me know if you saw this movie and what you thought. And if you want more of my content, you can click or tap on these cards right here. It'll take you to my review of Speak No Evil, or just over to my channel where you can check out the rest of my reviews and my shorts. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you next time for my review of The Substance.